Hello classmates. I'm going to be showing you how to clean and season a cast iron skillet. Seasoning here does not refer to adding flavors as it usually does, but it refers to how to create a polymerized oil, a nonstick coating on a cast iron cooking pan or pot. We're going to do a pan. This is my pan. Not sure what the specific cultural background of cast iron skillets are, but some things to consider if you wanted to use this with clients would be things like, in their cultural background, who's expected to do cooking, probably which would depend on family status, gender, things like that, what types of foods people eat. Cast iron can be used for really anything, but if you cook and eat a lot of very acidic foods, it might not be so good for it. Yeah, I think that this specific activity is considered certainly an ADL, cleaning and maintaining tools they use to cook. Could also be health management because it is for nutrition, and more specifically to cast iron, it's a it's a good, convenient way to get a little bit of extra iron in your diet, which a lot of people, particularly a lot of women of childbearing age, need more iron in their diet than they get. So it can be really helpful for that. So I'll just take you through the steps. Start with a dirty cast iron. I used this a while ago. You can see there's some food and stuff stuck to it. So you want to start with it dirty and cooled. This type of cookware holds on to heat for a really long time, and that's really the main potential health hazard that you could face in this activity, is not realizing how hot it is and touching it and burning yourself, because they do hold on to heat for so long. But that's part of the reason that they're such useful cooking devices. So I'm going to take you over here to the sink. Oh man. Okay, so starting with this on the stove, on the range, we're going to say that I've used it, it's cooled. So step one, make sure it's not hot to the touch, pick it up, move it to the sink. We're going to place it in the sink where we have our nice running water tap. We're so lucky to have nice, delicious running water here in Seattle. So before we do any washing, we're gonna wipe it clean to get these solid pieces of food off. There we go. You could use a towel or a paper towel. I obviously just used a paper towel. And then I'm gonna add a little tiny bit of dish soap. Very, very small amount. A lot of people say that you can't use soap on cast iron, but that is not true. The thing that you need to watch out for with cast iron and cleaning is that you never want to leave it wet for any period of time. So that's where it'll corrode and get rusty, because it's iron. So a little water, a little soap, a little scrub brush. I'm gonna pick this up and just scrub like any other dish. Step's complete. The whole thing is made out of the same material, so you can wash the whole pan like this. I'm just gonna do the cooking surface. So then that is done, we're gonna rinse it. Make sure all the soap is off. And then immediately after rinsing, dry thoroughly. This is very important to keep it dry. The other potential health hazard with this activity is that this is really heavy. It's a normal sized pan. This weighs about 8.5 pounds. So if you dropped it on yourself, on someone else, on your pet, on anything, could definitely cause damage. Okay, now we have our dry skillet. I'm gonna replace it back onto the stove. Gonna place you over here. There. Okay, now this is the curing part, or the seasoning part. It really is a curing process. We're just gonna put a little bit of oil. This is just olive oil, it's what I have, but actually flaxseed oil is the best, and canola oil is a good, cheaper version of oil to use. Anything that has a very high amount of, I think, polyunsaturated fats in it is gonna make a better nonstick surface, but what I have is olive oil, so I'm gonna use that. So we put a small amount of oil in the pan, and then I'm just going to spread it all over the entire surface that I've just cleaned. Using a paper towel. Just gonna get a little more. So we've got a thin coating of oil, and then turn on the range. This is really the last part. You just turn up the heat, and then we're gonna wait until the pan starts to smoke, because that's when the temperature of the pan is high enough that it's starting the chemical process of polymerization with the oil that's in it, and that's what makes the nonstick surface. It basically plasticizes the oil. So yeah, we're just gonna wait a little bit. Put a little more in just in case. While we wait, let's talk about some critical body structures and functions. I think as it's pretty clear from this video that you need to be able to use your hands, your arms, your upper body pretty well to handle this heavy, potentially hot object. Definitely some process skills required to prevent injury, so remembering when you use the pan, if it might be hot still. Yeah, being able to position your body. This space demands you need a sink with running water. You need a range, doesn't have to be a gas range like I have, but you need that. Another way you can do it, you can actually put it in the oven at a very high heat, about 500 degrees. So that takes a longer time, but it might be easier because you don't have to, well, it's just not up. It's harder to burn yourself in an oven, I think, than it is with a very hot thing just on the stove that you might accidentally touch. Yeah, that's about it. You need to have smooth movements with your hands and arms. If you want to use a cast iron skillet, I really recommend getting a little handle cover like this. As you can see, this is kind of singed because you should not leave it on when the pan's heating on the stove. But after you've used it and you want to pick it up, you just put this little sleeve on it. Another important thing that body function and structure that you would need for this activity is good vision. You need to be able to see the pan being dirty, see that you've rinsed all the soap off of it, see when it's smoking. So yeah, motor skills in the hands and arms, vision, and a few process skills like judgment and following the steps in the correct order. I think it's starting to smoke a little bit. Let's show you what that looks like. It's hard to see on the video, but you can see a little, I think you can see a little smoke coming up. Yeah, you can definitely see it. So now you can just turn it off. Now it's really smoking. You can just turn it off. I like to put the handle cover on now, just in case you feel the need to pick it up before it's cool. It's already taken care of. And you can repeat the last few steps of applying more oil and heating it again a few times in a row if you want. If you want a very, very non-stick surface, the more times you do that, the more non-stick it will be. And that's all. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm sure yours is great too.